This is my first generation Honda Insight. It's done over 330,000 miles, and I love this thing so much that regular viewers will know that I've actually owned it twice. But very little do I actually feature it on the Late Break Show because I use it so much. So in this episode, we have put together a compendium of lots of videos and footage that we've taken over the last 18 months or so, of lots of jobs that we've done, hacks, mods, improvements on this thing. They include removing and modifying the hybrid battery system so that it can provide more torque and it can have adjustable regen. And we've converted it to plug-in chargeability to increase the longevity of that battery. We've changed the whole rear suspension system for adjustable dampers and brand new springs. We've dry ice blasted the engine bay and some of the chassis. And I've also taken the car back to Honda UK's Master Tech Press Workshop for it to have its 330,000 mile deep service next to Ayrton Senna's NSX. You're going to see all of that and more on the Late Break Show. I'm Jonny Smith, and that is the first internationally sold hybrid car in the world. I've come to Warwick, to the Lost Socket, where today we're going to be rebuilding the rear suspension, which is a well overdue job on this car. Dampers, springs and different bump stops, and hopefully also dry ice blast the engine bay. Right, so now that we've got the Insight up on the ramp, you can see, obviously front wheel drive car, this beam here is one of the only steel parts of the Insight. It's an aluminium handmade car. I've harped on about it before, saying it is like the hypermiling NSX, because it really is. Built on the same line as the NSX. But the problem this car has is the rear suspension is notoriously soft, the springs are really spindly, and the dampers on this car, I think, are the originals. This has done over 330,000 miles, which I mentioned before. So what I want to do today with Nathaniel here is I want to change the springs, the dampers, and the bump stops, because it hits the bump stops quite easily. They're all like it, and I think it will transform the back of the car. And then hopefully Tom, the blastsmith, he's coming along to do some dry ice blasting and some localized anti-corrosion stuff in the engine bay and around here. But that's what I want to do here. So hopefully the parts that I've bought ages ago will all fit and be right. I replaced the brakes, it was during lockdown now, so the brakes have been done internally, and the handbrake cables, they were a complete bastard and almost unobtainium. Those are done, and it's good to have a look underneath the car. These are jobs I've been meaning to do for several years, I'm embarrassed to say. I actually bought, you can see how dirty this box is, I bought these gas shocks 2.5 years ago, but they do a kit adjustable for the rear of the Gen 1 Insight. So I'm going to put these on, which gives you a little bit of play in the damping. And these are just generic aftermarket off-the-shelf springs. They're actually for a Chevrolet Matiz. But according to Insight Central, which is a really good forum for these cars, a lot of people put these on and they put the bump stops from the same car. So Chevy Matiz bump stops that are a little bit fatter, springs that are a little bit fatter, and then those gas adjustable shocks. So that's what we're going to do with Nat at the Lost Socket next, these things on that rear beam. So that's the original Insight spring. It's a very, very feeble, spindly thing. This is the Chevy Matiz spring. It's ever so slightly taller, but obviously it's thicker as well. Easy to, you can tell immediately, like trying to push that down with all my might. I'm just getting a bit of give in it. This one here is a lot softer. But before we put this one back in, no, fuck off. before this one goes back in, we're going to take the one out the other side, because then we can hang the beam down a bit lower. But what's great is putting the gas damper in. You can do it all from underneath here. We don't have to go in from the inside of the car. Plus, forgot to mention, because it's an adjustable damper, it's 20 clicks of adjustment. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it on 10, put it on the car, put it on 10, and see how it feels with the fatter springs. And then over the next week or two, I might crawl under and dial it back or add a bit more. So that's on 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. That was really interesting, wasn't it? You might recognise Tom. This is Tom, the Blast Smith. And if you've not watched it before, a couple of years ago here in this same building, Tom blasted my Tokyo Taxi Nissan Cedric and did a great job. We talked in detail about what dry ice blasting is. Tom, I've been wanting to do this for ages on this car because I feel like it deserves it. Because it works bloody hard, this thing. So you've done an engine bay blast, and you've done the inner wheel arches and most of the chassis. I think it's come up bloody well.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute testament to the build of these little cars, to be honest. With the mileage and the condition that it's in, it's absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, this has never been garaged, and it is actually still, I forgot to mention this, it's still a full Honda service history car.
It's just, yeah, it's outstanding. I mean, obviously it's an aluminium car anyway, so in terms of the dry ice, you've got to be super careful. Anything that's painted that's aluminium, and you start to get a little bit of aluminium oxidisation, the paint will just blast straight off. So there's a few areas we've had to be a little bit more careful with. Yeah. But generally speaking, the running gear is very minimal. Everything's very lightweight and very well designed, so there's not really anything to trap any sort of corrosion or anything like that. There's no sort of water traps or anything like that underneath. The rear axle, as we spoke about previously, is the only real thing under there that's steel, other than sort of your track rods and things like that, and obviously your suspension dampers. But the only thing there really is the rear axle, and that's not even that bad.
It's not that bad. It's better than I thought.
I mean, yeah, I've done cars with, you know, a third of this mileage and, well, less than a third of this mileage, and they're far worse than that underneath. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously for the plastic covers underneath for the aero really help with preserving the car as well, because it keeps the bottom of the car nice and clean. Yeah. The closed-in rear wheel arches, again, you may think it traps it, but it hasn't, has it? It's absolutely spot on.
No, it's great.
It's taken very little really to get it nice and clean. In terms of a maintenance clean, really, because I mean, I think the idea is to give it a protection and to keep it going, right? So
that's what it's about for me.
If we'd have had a lot longer, we'd have been able to get, you know, aesthetically, we would have been able to make it pop a little bit more in the wheel arches, perhaps, things like that. But, you know, in terms of what we've done,
this is not that kind of car, though.
Maintenance. Yeah. No, perhaps not, no. But it's certainly a very good little car, and certainly one that deserves the time and attention. So, yeah, it's been great to work on it, mate. Thank you.
Well, thank you, chap. Oh,
no,
and if you haven't watched the barn find feature, not a barn, outside a barn, the Volvo 850 T5R, you blasted the engine bay of that. You had a good day that day.
We did.
And that's yours in the background, because if people are going, that's a T5 in the background, it's not an R, but it is a T5. That's one of your. Have you got three now?
Yeah, red R, green R, silver T5.
That's someone on the phone saying you got too many T5Rs. So those are big jobs that I've been meaning to do for ages. clean the engine bay and the underneath, which aren't essential, but I just wanted to for peace of mind. But most essentially, all that rear suspension desperately needing to be renewed. Next step, major service. And for that, I am actually going to take it to Honda, because despite having 330,000 miles, this is a full Honda service history car still. Now, most normal people, when their cars get to 300,000 miles, if they ever do, they probably wouldn't still take it to Honda, but this Insight has always been to Honda for its servicing. So it was owned by someone that worked for Honda. It was an ex-demonstrator car. The original two owners that did all the moon miles in it took it to Honda for all of its work, and that's why I wanted to continue its Honda service history. I've got, I think, two really big service history folders, but this is even more special, this place, because this isn't just a normal Honda dealer. It's not even a dealer. This is the Honda press garage, where all the Hondas come that go out to journalists and go out for test drives and for training. It all gets done here. Oh fuck. That's totally an NSX, isn't it? Totally. So's that. And that's a Mark 1. I reckon that might be that yellow one that I've driven a few times. So there's some old cars here, there's some new models here, and the guys that are working on my car, Jason and John, who I'll introduce you to, they have been working for Honda for years. But not only that, they've worked on my exact Honda since it was new, on and off, over the years. So they know this car well, and I like that about it. They've got a bit of a fond affinity to it, the same as I have. That is John. Hi, John. That is Jason.
Hi, Johnny.
Hi, Jason. Am I right in thinking that you two have worked for Honda for 100 years?
102 years.
102?
102 years, yeah.
Yeah, he's not looking too bad for the age, is he?
But you guys have worked on this exact car many times over the years, haven't you?
Yeah.
We have indeed.
Because were you both working for Honda when these were launched?
We were. This was our first launch that we ever done for Honda.
Was it really?
Yeah, very, very first launch when we started in 2000, wasn't it?
99.
99.
99. And this car is a 2000, I think, so... Now, what do you call yourselves? Master technicians?
Press Fleet Master Tech.
Press Fleet Master Tech. I like the sound of that. You're working incredibly quickly. I've just noticed this. You're already... So I've obviously driven it here 3 hours this morning, so all fluids should be absolutely at working temperature. You're so confident, Jason, that you're not even like... You don't even need gloves. You're that clean at working. That oil looks good. Is this this is an official Honda wheelie bit? It's hybrid, is it?
Yeah, let's got the hybrid badge on it.
Oh, because it's got the blue tinge on the edge. Is it VTEC?
It is.
Yeah,
VTEC.
feels Bintech.
Vtec.
So Honda hybrids use Honda green oil. Very specific. I think it's 0.20 or 0.30 weight. It's like baby oil. I've only ever used it in this. And I think that's part of the longevity of the engine. Just going to confirm my suspicions. Can I? Oh. So these are the two... Oh. These are the two press cars.
These are the two. This is the Senna car.
This one's the Senna car.
Senna Max Verstappen drove at the beginning of this year.
Very cool. Very cool. Right, so this is a deep service. I know I've asked you guys to do the gearbox oil as well as the engine oil because
Yeah, that's all done.
that's already done. You did that in about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. I know we've got the sacred plugs to change. So the spark plugs on this car are so specific because it's a lean burn VTEC, is that right?
That's correct. They're all coded as well, aren't they?
Well, now they used to be, and now.
Are they generic ones now?
Well, I wouldn't say generic, having waited for as long as I've waited.
Yeah.
But they are the only thing left in existence that you use from Honda for the car. And,
Yeah, so on there, I think they're probably a generic now.
they're a B rated.
Yeah, these are a B rated.
So you had an A, a B, and a C.
So yeah,
Is that right?
yeah.
Iridium. I mean.
Iridium tipped.
Oh my gosh. Definitely the most.
But I think they're a 60,000 mile item, so you know it's not.
They are. So I remember you saying that you've rebuilt the Synchro on first or second on this car.
I think it was second and fifth.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, it was a complete strip and complete rebuild.
Because I've got photos somewhere
Of it in bits?
from the previous owner of the car here, where you did that job. You replaced the hybrid battery with a Honda one. Oh, I can't remember what year that would have been. 2010 or something.
Really don't like the feel of that. Yeah, it's ice cold. It freezes it down to like minus 45, and it cracks. It cracks where the rust is actually like where it's welded together. It cracks the rust, so it splits the rust.
So this is John's referring to the first spark plug, which felt awkwardly tight, and we were worried that it was gonna strip the thread. But look at that. Smells good too, actually.
Yeah, it smells like being in a hospital, doesn't it?
I'm not saying I like being in a hospital,
But it's got that smell,
it
hasn't it?
has got a medical
Like
smell.
yeah.
It does smell medical and special.
There's one coil.
Nice.
Two.
Is it? Do you just, if coil packs work, you leave them, or do you just?
Yeah, just leave them.
Do you test them?
Leave them.
Yeah, they either
Yeah,
do
leave
or
them.
they don't.
Yeah,
Just like an old school coil.
yeah, just leave them.
So Jason's just taken the caliper off and checked the pads and everything. If you've watched the previous video on this car, which we did a long time ago, we put new brakes on it, which I think was 2021. And then over here, I never get bored of seeing these. I think it's still the most successful, most watched video on my channel, and it was the first official video I put on the Late Break Show. The review of the Honda E. What a car. And what a bargain now as a used car. I think you're looking at a future classic, 100%. Go on then, John, what's your favourite Honda? You've worked on them all. You've owned a fair few of them.
CRX.
CRX. Oh.
Yeah, I love that little car.
You owned one, didn't you?
Yeah, I had one, yeah.
Regret getting rid?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah. GTI split tailgate Civic I had as well, regret selling that.
cool car.
That was a nice car. You don't see them at all anymore, do you?
No, you don't. Civic Aero deck. Do you like the Aero deck?
Civic Aero deck.
Yeah.
Prelude 4-wheel steer, that was a good
Oh,
car.
Prelude 4WS. Yeah.
2 litres twin cam.
Yeah. What about you then,
Just
Jason?
named my favourite Honda. Prelude 4-wheel steer.
Was it?
1988 with the twin cam engine.
Did you own one?
No.
But you've worked on a few of
Well,
them.
yeah, I used to PDI him, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
This offside rear
It is coming.
was less of a problem originally. This has had less work done than the other side. So when I got the car back, this side is entirely seized. Almost all the components have been changed on this side. The other side not so. Right. Cabin filter. Bloody hell. Has that been filtering for 300,000 miles? I doubt it.
You've been breathing that in.
I've been breathing that in.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. definitely needed doing. You have to take the glove box off for the cabin filter, and it's down there. If you haven't already, subscribe to The Late Break Show for a whole variety of videos, from regular barn finds and car collection visits to new car reviews and project car updates like this. I've got several other project cars and they're all very different. The Insight had an aftermarket audio system that was fitted quite a while ago, so the OEM system had long since gone. But this setup was a pretty long in the tooth thing, and I wanted to upgrade both the Bluetooth functionality and also the Android Auto capability. So we used a JVC single DIN DAB unit that was 166 quid. And I also mated it to a Focal slimline under-seat sub-enclosure and some Focal component speakers, and I got all of those from Kevin at mudstuff.co.uk. This was all fitted by my friend Graham Bolf, who's a wizard with this stuff. He's an amateur drifter as well and follows the channel. He's an all-round sweet guy. Next, I drove northeast to Hull, where the UK's leading guru on Gen 1 Insights is based. If Peter Perkins can't fix an Insight IMA, then nobody in Europe can. But better still, he offers a service to hack the system and upgrade it for more hybrid assistance, adjustable regen braking, and if need be, he can replace your whole battery pack with an uprated lithium-ion unit.
Okay, so you brought your car here today, so what we're going to do a few mods to it you've asked me to have a look at. So we're going to take the battery out because you want to go for a current hack, which is like a plus 40% upgrade to the current. So what we have to do that is we have to put a little circuit board in the motor controller module and a resistor in the battery control module. I've already done those inside, but we'll have a look at those. And also we have to upgrade the main fuse, otherwise the fuse will blow as you start demanding the extra current. Now the thing with this is it is a standard OEM battery pack which has been cycled, but it is 20 plus years old now. So the current hack will only be as good as the battery is. If you had a fantastic brand new battery or a lithium conversion, you would get the full 40% no problem. Yeah. This is only going to give us what it's going to give us, but it's a start. Yeah. So that's the first thing. Then also we're going to fit a cycling charger to it, so that the process that you went through before manually is a little bit easier. You'll have a socket to plug the charger into, and you'll just have a simple flip up switch and down, which is discharging and charging, so you can just come out every now and again and charge it or discharge it, and that will hopefully improve the battery perhaps even more than it is already, and it certainly keeps them going for a long time. We have a lot of success with steep cycling these nickel metal hydride cells. They are very charge tolerant.
If you haven't watched the previous episode on the Insight, which came out a long time ago now, which involves me resurrecting the battery from sitting for years, Peter gave me this instructions for a DIY system to discharge and then recharge the battery time and time again over a week or two. And it brings it back to life. But what he's fitted to my car today is a much more professional, permanently fitted version of that, which I can flick on and off when I'm not using the car for a few days.
And then what we're going to do is we're also going to look at the manual IMA control system, because Honda wrote the logarithm which controls the motor to deal with Joe Average, the average Joe, the average person driving along in the car, and it does a very good job of managing the motor and the battery. But what we're going to do is you're going to give you that sort of independent control, so you can override what the Honda wants to do, what the motor wants to do, or what the control system is trying to do. So you can basically override it, command assist when you want assist, or command regen when you want it, and also disable assist and disable regen when you don't want it. Because one of the faults these things do have is when you're going up a hill, if the battery's flat, it'll start to charge, and that really sucks down the miles per gallon. So you can actually disable that charging until the terrain is more favourable to you. So for instance, you get to the top of the hill, then crank back on the charging as you're going down the other side. Recapture that energy, that's all good. So that's what the plan is today, do those mods. So what we've got to do is we've got to take the battery out, because we need to get access to the switchboard, which is at this end of the battery here, You notice I've actually got 2 pairs of gloves on. These are rated to about 500 volts. The system is only about 200. But safety is obviously very important, so whenever I'm messing around, you've got to wear your gloves. I'm actually going to give you a pair of gloves to put on, actually,
Please.
when we're messing around, just for general, because you're not going to be touching anything. You're not going to be touching anything dangerous. But it's just as protection against. Actually, this aluminium is like razor sharp as well. So yeah, I've cut myself on it more times than I've had hot dinners. So these foam pieces remind me to put them back in later, because the number of times I've put the cover on, I thought, oh, I've got 2 foam pieces left. And you have to take them out. So let's just turn it off. There's 2 main connections here, and they lead to some high voltage capacitors in the motor drive unit here, and we just need to make sure that they're discharged. So I'm going to turn the main battery pack off, which splits the battery in half, and it's only 144 volts nominal anyway, so that takes it down to about 72 volts a side, which is pretty reasonable. So I'm just going to test this and see if we've got any voltage across these terminals here. Well, I've only got 2.1 volts, so it's already self-discharged, because there's some bleed resistors in the DC to DC converter here, and they drag the battery, they drag the capacitors down, so that there's no residual charge there that we need to worry about. So basically, it's a question of getting the rattle gun and starting to undo some nuts and bolts. Okay, so we're going to take the pack out now. We've basically disconnected it, taken that cross member out, taken all the 4 big mounting bolts out. They just mount it straight into the aluminium. It's a fairly heavy lump, probably 30 kilos, something like that altogether.
Oh my gosh, that's it.
There it is, that's out. So we're going to take it through into the workroom. So put the fuse in, turn the light on the situation. So there's your pack. That's another pack which is just waiting for a customer. That one's been cycled. Bits of everything everywhere. If you look round, you'll see it all. This is quite interesting. If you can guess what that is.
Oh, so hang on, is that the entire brain?
That's basically an Insight
That's
on the bench, basically. So that's an entire car with swappable modules, so US modules or UK modules, depending on. So I can power that up, and I can test the gadgets.
That's your test rig?
Yeah. So we'll actually power it up, see if it's going to work today. So it requires high voltage, so we've got a high voltage supply here, and hopefully this bulb will come on in a few minutes once we turn it on. So that bulb comes on and tells us that there's power live, so you know not to mess around. And then this one is the motor, that's a substitute motor. Okay. So that's the IMA motor, so we'll see if it works. So we'll turn it on first of all.
I remember that sound.
Yeah, so that's all the relays clicking. So the bulb's come on, it's powered up. Yeah, dashboard, go, the basics. Right, so if I operate my little gadget here, if it's going to work, plug it in. Hopefully you're going to get one of these, which is like the control module. It has a little joystick. Brilliant. So if I operate the joystick, the bulb should come on. If I press this way, there the bulb's on. Okay. So that's assist. So that's me manually overriding the system, and that's as if that would be the electric motor in the car.
Demanding more load from the motor.
Well, just more power. That's maximum power, basically, over that way. And if I push it the other way, it would be regeneration, but you can't show that with the bulb. So that's basically the car on the bench. You can test all sorts of things. I've got a nice door stop down here, which you'll like. In the back of the car, in the motor drive module, is the bit that does all the work. He drops it on. That's a good outtake. This is actually a dead one. Hence its use as a door stop. So this is this is called an IGBT, which is an insulated gate bipolar transistor package, and that's basically what controls the motor. Very high power transistors in there with some control circuitry, and unfortunately they can fail in the Insight. So I've done quite a few of these as well, and once they do fail, they just become door stops because you can't get into them. They're sort of sealed, and they fail internally, and they just then become bricks. But there's one here, as you can see, which is controlling the motor. If I turn it on again. So that would be controlling the motor, so that I can test them in this as well, you see. So if I've got a customer brings me one, I can put it in here. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, it does. But they do make good door stops. Right, let's get back into the so it's all incredibly well made, and it's split in half, as you say, because we've got the switch turned off. The main fuse is actually under here, so basically we have to take this off. So we've got to take that out, and then we've got to do some fairly crude hacking. I need to get my tools, so just hang on. So this is the bigger fuse. These are special DC rated fuses. You can't use standard fuses in this sort of thing, because DC doesn't power for DC in a short circuit doesn't break in the same way as AC, because AC has a rising and falling waveform. So when it gets to the sort of middle, which is nothing, that's when the fuse can blow. But these DC fuses are filled with made in a special way, filled with sand and all sorts of stuff, so to break the arc, because what you have with a DC fault is you'll have an arc, and these fuses are specially designed to break that, but that means they're expensive. So we're going to take this one out. Now you're never going to get anywhere near 200 amps with a standard pack unless it's like a direct short circuit, but we're going to take this one out. Change it for this other one. See, now that we've got the 200 amp fuse in, you just have to massacre a bit of the plastic that was around it, and the cover then should just go straight back on. I'll put it on the right way round. So, good. So basically that can go back in the car. We're going to swap over these control modules on the top, and we might as well do that actually while we're here, so doing that in a minute, and then we're getting there, halfway there I would say. So we're going to change these modules over, because the ones that we're fitting are modified for the current hack. So this one's the motor control module. So there we are, on Miracle by Magic. That's the two modules swapped over. So these ones have got some parts in. So this one here has got a little circuit board like that in it, and another little circuit board like that in it, and a few other little bits and bobs. But that's basically the manual control device, receiver, that receives serial signals from the super control gadget and the little joystick.
So they all go on somewhere on the...
This plugs into your OBD port. It's just a straightforward OBD plug. Thoughtfully, Honda left us a nice wire which runs right from the front to the back, from the OBD port to this module here, which is only used when they're doing diagnostics. So that wire is free for us to use. So that's why we use to send our serial control signals down to this little module which sits inside here. And this is the current hack printed circuit board. This is soldered onto the underside of this module inside here, and that's has like two settings, 40 and 20%, and off obviously. Now it's set to 40% because this module is also set to 40%. This has to be set the same. So if this doesn't work for whatever reason, then what we have to do, basically what you might have to do, is if it doesn't like it, the car, in 3 months time, is you can just take the back off, take these two modules out and disable the current hack. Fairly straightforward. There's two little switches on here, and there's a resistor in here which you would just snip, which has been added, and that would be back to standard current then, and hopefully it would be happy with that. So it's a question of suck it and see really with this battery, because we don't really know how good it is, and we're going to be asking quite a lot of it. You know, to 40% plus 40% is a lot of power over standard. Whether it will actually give us that, we will find out. I don't think it will give us all that, but it might give us some. We'll see. So to connect the charger, we have to basically connect two wires to the pack. We have to have a permanently live, which is that side, which is the sort of live side of the main contactor, which is this one here. This is the one that's energized when the car is turned on. So we have to have a positive wire to this side, and we're going to use a little spade piggyback connector on this terminal here. And then we have to use the main negative, which is here. It's not a problem. We have just a circular connector for that. So basically I'm going to take that off there, because this is difficult to get off when you can't get your hand down there, because once this is back in the car you have to try and get your hand down there. It can be a bit awkward. So before we actually put the battery in, what we'll go and do now is we'll go and drill a hole in the chassis, in the battery compartment, to put the connector through, and then put the wires into place, and then we can drop the battery back in. So we'll go back out to the unit to make sure I haven't caught anything like that connector there. There we are. It is back in place. Just got to connect up the charger wires to it now.
Right, battery pack's in, Peter's connected it all. Before we put all the cladding or anything on it, he wants me to start it up, see if it works. So.
Fingers crossed. Take one. Yeah, well, it started, that's the good thing, and it started with the IMA. So the battery gauge is ticking up to the top now, which means it's happy that it's fully charged for now. That didn't take long. So the battery was obviously quite well charged when you arrived, which is good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn it off and we'll test the charger. Just turn it off, yeah. You take the key out, yeah, we don't need that on. The system started up correctly, it calibrated itself correctly because we swapped in these new modules. That seems all tickety-boo. So what we're going to do now is try the charger. So the charger has like a little colour coordination thing here, so there's a white blob on the connector and the socket, so we're just going to basically plug it in and keep our fingers crossed that we've got the wiring all right. Now normally you're going to be doing this just underneath the cover that's there, but it's in. Now the charger doesn't need to be plugged in to do the discharging, so hopefully if I push this down the light bulb comes on.
It does.
And we have lift off, so that's not rocket science, but there you are, that's the discharging phase. You just leave that basically discharging until it goes out, and away you go. So what we'll do now is we'll turn the discharge off, which is just the middle position, so we'll plug in the charge, and we have a fan. So that's the first thing. So if you can't hear the fan, as Houston, we have a problem. So it's not actually charging yet until you flick this switch into the up position, and there's no other indication. It's basically, if you can hear the fan and that's in the up position and you're plugged in, it will be charging. So that's it. You just leave it for your 24 hours.
Is that what it is? Typically 24?
Yeah, 24 hours minimum after a full discharge, maybe up to 36. Yeah. But again, as I said, the charge is very low currents. If you forgot about it for a day or two, it wouldn't kill it so long as the fan's working. You know, just keep the batteries cool. And that's it basically. So we can hear the fan, and if we want to discharge it again, let's imagine we've done 24 hours. Unplug that, don't need that plugged in for the discharge, and then just flick that over into the discharge mode and away you go.
So Peter's worked his magic, we fitted the components, I'm about to drive home. We don't know the honest condition of my battery, because remember I bought the car back from Honda, having seen it sitting for 7 years under a bush outside. The battery seems to have come back to life remarkably well, but we don't actually know how much I can get, how much performance I can get until we know the states. The first thing I'm going to do when I've driven it home is to cycle it for a week. That's what I'm going to do. I'll let you know how that pans out.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Thanks to Pete for A, understanding these cars better than anyone I know, and B, saving so many.
Yeah.
And getting more and more performance and hypermiling out of them in 20. They're still a relevant car in 2023.
But the owners are becoming more classically oriented. They're more the older owners now. They're more the enthusiast owners, the ones who want to tinker and the ones who want to keep them going and appreciate them for the engineering and how advanced they were at the time. So they're falling into the right hands now. They're not really just an A to B commuter car anymore. You know, they are enthusiasts' car.
I agree, and that's why I love them so much as well. Cars that leak are my absolute nemesis, and the Insight had started to leak intermittently a while ago. A mate of mine who's owned many of these cars, called Mark Elvin, kindly volunteered to come and fix my water ingress problem, but frustratingly I seem to have lost all the video footage that I took of it. I only have a couple of photos as evidence, but basically Mark, who's an ex-F1 engineer and used to work on the fastest car in the world, Bloodhound SSC, knows that the plastic clips holding the roof rails have a seal that fails and lets water trickle into the B-pillar area. New clips are delicate and they're rarer than seeing Alan Sugar smile, but Mark sourced some, expertly fitted them, and now the car is dry as can be. Thank goodness. Thank you so much, Mark. So that really concludes a year's worth of gradual upgrades and improvements on the old Moonmile Insight. So infotainment with Bluetooth, rear suspension rebuild, obviously full service, slight hack of the IMA system, all making it a more usable, more efficient car whilst piling the miles on it. 331,000. Hope you've enjoyed this video on the Insight. I'm sorry I haven't done more recently. If you'd like more videos on this car on the channel, by all means let me know. Thank you for watching, and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed.